Okay guys, Thundroder. I had a dishwasher failure on me. Went up and luckily used Marketplace. Yes, it's inverted, but gives you the point. Hotpoint, like so many other brands, Whirlpool, LG, Maytag probably does the same type of thing. I have pulled the motor pump assembly. I'm saving the clamps. These are kind of handy to have. But after, I don't know, we've at least had this sucker for 5 years. And it was a great machine, just to tell you. You're looking for a replacement, I'll flip it around and we can get the label out of it if you really are interested. It's an older model. But here's the first thing. When I pulled the pump motor, this sucker was down here. This was in here. This little piece of metal was sitting there where the impeller was. This is going down from the washer into the pump. The impeller is going to chop up the debris before expelling it. And this was stuck in there. I don't know if that stopped it. Well, that was the final coup de grace on the thing, but whatever. That's just showing you an interesting analysis. I was going to take this for recycling. Dripping. So I'm going to pull the motor. You get a little more money. No big deal. The whole thing I can turn for scrap. That gets rid of it. I don't have to put it at the curb. A couple different nut drivers that you need. No big deal. As long as the thing's going to scrap, you can dissect and learn some things. I did pull the brass nipple off. You can use that for later. Not sure what else I could do. Could go in and turn it over and look on the inside. I haven't done that yet. Where I think my failure was, though, was my switch. I will flip this out in the 90-degree heat. There we are, in the right place. What was happening is I was having to wedge something under this for it to keep started. So when I pulled this panel off, I noticed that there's a couple switches in here that are push buttons. And they're in a spring. One of them was pushed all the way in, and it wouldn't retract. So there you go. That probably was what killed it, because it just stopped in the middle of the cycle. There's your information on it. It was a handy dandy, man, for a while. The only thing I noticed is here I had the epoxy. The element got real close. It's out of here. Oops. Oh, the riser thing is up because I turned it upside down. Pull that out. I got a wreckage going on here. Oh, man. You're going to get injured on camera. Pull this. This thing's bound and determined to take my fingers. Alright, here's what I wanted to tell you. Sneaker. See those clips right here? Those things tend to move, and the element comes towards the door. And I had a burn spot, which I epoxied. The trick to avoiding that is don't put it on heated dry, because that element goes on and it really heats that up. So I always wash it on one of these 2 cycles or on these were both off. If you put heated dry and high temp on, that element engages a lot more and you can burn the front door. There was a pretty good size hole there, but like I said, I 2-part epoxied it and it still burned it again. But the way to deal with that is to push these brackets inward. See, if I tilt these in and tighten the screws down, I end up pushing that element away. That same thing here. See, that's so loose. If you tighten that 1/4 inch up and turn it that way, you'll pull the element away from the door. That's the first problem I had with this machine. But I was able to overcome that. But then the switch lock thing killed me in the end. I can pull this panel off and do another video to show you that. It's not that big a deal. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 screws, and this outer panel comes off. The only thing you got to watch for is there's a spring loading for the for the detergent dispenser. And when you put this back on, you have to have the dial to the off position. So you hear that? That's engaging that spring. And if you put the panel back on with the spring not right, this won't engage. So if you do remove this and play around with your components here, which all the wiring and switches and stuff is at the top behind this thing, just make sure that's set correctly. Like I said, you make sure this is in the off. You'll hear that. That's engaging the spring. So turn it to off and then stick the panel back on, and the spring should be in the right position. If you want, I could show you that. But anyway, that's the end of this machine, and I'm telling you, this was a trustworthy guy for a while. But it that switch depressed. I can show you that in there. I don't know if you could have replaced it. If I had some guts from an old one, it didn't look like it'd be too hard to replace the wired switch behind this. Like I said, it's underneath this panel right here. So you pull the panel and there's a switch that has a spring that this engages. And I think that got shot. That's the only thing I noticed when I gutted it. But then I got to Facebook Marketplace and I got a real nice new Whirlpool. And somebody was moving in, and it was cream color, and they wanted stainless, so the thing wasn't used at all. So I got that for $50 off Marketplace. Why not replace it? You know, if I called a repairman, $200 probably. Anyway, so I got a pump I'm gonna get rid of and a motor. I mean, it's a shame. I'm sure this motor's still good, but that's how recycling goes. And when you dissect like this, you learn a few things. See, I got some strings around here too. Look, you know, that eventually will bind up that impeller. So that's something that you'd have to tear the whole thing apart to fix. By the time you do that, you get a new washer. Home Depot was the best deal, $350 on sale for the 4th of July coming up. But that would have been a pretty cheap one, up to about $850 for a new washer these days at Lowe's or Home Depot. So I suggest, there's a lot of people moving. There's a lot of people changing their minds. I mean, this lady this was a perfectly good machine I got. And it was a Quiet Partner 1, I think it's called, a Whirlpool. And that thing cleans like a charm. This thing, the pump was starting to get slow, which we can see most likely. I don't know. The pump might not have been draining properly, which is what I was finding. It was leaving water, a lot of water at the bottom. So I'm assuming that's the same pump that pumps the stuff out. Anywho, thanks for watching. Got any thoughts, or before I scrap this, if you need that motor, I mean, I can send it to you for shipping, because I don't really, I'm sure it's still good. There's the number on it. If you're into doing handiwork, shipping probably be $10-15. So, all right, take it easy. Good luck with your fixing. Don Droder out.